The rain-soaked skyline of Chicago pressed close around the elevated tracks as the dusk train rattled past Bronzeville. Down on the street below, neon from corner bodegas smeared across puddles, and the amber lamps cast long reflections on wet asphalt. Tucked between a pawn shop and a decades-old record store sat the Copper Kettle, a narrow, brick-front diner whose burnished brass sign had earned it its name. Inside, it smelled of chicory coffee, sizzling butter, and the ghosts of Sunday gospel brunches. On that raw Wednesday evening, 24-year-old Aaron Brooks slid a tray onto the counter with the effortless poise of a magician revealing a card trick. Tall, rangy, and soft-spoken, Aaron balanced the clatter of plates with the concern tugging at his thoughts. His mother's mounting hospital bills and the tuition invoice for his younger sister, Layla, a prodigy pianist at the Chicago High School for the Arts. By day, he studied civil engineering at the University of Illinois, Chicago, and by night, he served hash browns to third-shift nurses and cops who called him Kid, even though he was the one holding the room together. The Copper Kettle's regulars, cab drivers, janitors, journalists, knew Aaron's rhythm so well they'd slide their mugs forward without a word. In return, he remembered who liked rye instead of wheat, who needed low-sodium ketchup, and who had just lost a job and needed a free slice of pie. Yet the rhythm faltered when the bell over the glass door gave a shrill, offbeat jangle. 3 figures stepped in, trailing frigid air. At their center, Charlotte Whitmore moved like a camera flash nobody could look away from. Platinum blonde bob, snow-white trench, and stilettos never intended for cracked sidewalks. 27 and heiress to Whitmore Maritime Holdings, she surveyed the diner as though it were a curiosity behind museum glass. Flanking her were Pierce and Donovan, Ivy League fraternity echoes in bespoke suits. Charlotte's gaze landed on the booth in the corner where an elderly black couple shared peach cobbler to celebrate 40 years of marriage. With a glacial smile, she pointed. "I want that table," she announced, every vowel edged in entitlement. The room's chatter quieted. Aaron set down the coffee pot, wiped his hands on his apron, and approached with professional calm. "Evening, ma'am. That couple's mid-dessert at the moment. I've got a window seat free, or I can clear the counter." Charlotte's frosted smile cracked into a sneer. "Did you misunderstand?" She looked him up and down, lingering on his dark skin, his plain white shirt. "Move them." A hush fell so complete the radio behind the counter sounded suddenly loud, Billie Holiday crooning about strange fruit. Aaron felt heat rise in his ears. He'd fielded rudeness before, but this was contempt with a pedigree. He straightened. "I'm afraid I can't do that. You're welcome to wait. Coffee's on the house." Donovan emitted a short, derisive laugh, while Charlotte stared as though presented with an algebra equation. Then a gleam of amusement set behind her eyes. Sport. She dug inside her Hermes clutch, produced a money clip thick with hundreds, and let 3 crisp bills float to the checkered floor. "Fetch, boy." The bills fluttered like wounded birds at Aaron's shoes. Gasps rippled around the diner. Aaron neither bent nor blinked. He let the silence stretch until the humiliation hung back on Charlotte like a gaudy necklace. Finally, with unhurried composure, he spoke. "Respect isn't on the menu, Ms. Whitmore, but it is required attire. You're free to keep your money and free to leave." Charlotte's cheeks flared pink. Pierce shifted uneasily. Charlotte stepped closer, too close, her perfume honey-sweet and suffocating. "You'll regret that." As the words left her lips, she jabbed a manicured finger at his chest. Aaron gently but firmly brushed her hand aside. The physical rebuff broke something. Charlotte swung her clutch at him. He caught her wrist before the bag connected, pivoted, and released, an instinct learned from neighborhood pickup basketball scrambles. She stumbled, her heels skidding on a damp tile, and she sat down hard amid the scattered bills. Gasps turned to stunned silence. Pierce moved as if to lunge, but Charlotte shot a look that caged him. She rose, dignity in shreds, lips thin with rage. "You're finished," she hissed. "My father will see to it." She gathered her coat, her minions, and the 3 bills, and stalked into the downpour. The bell clanged like a gavel. Applause erupted, hesitant at first, then wholehearted. Aaron exhaled shakily. Diner owner Ida Ramirez, a silver-haired former activist who called everyone Mijo, emerged from the kitchen, squeezed his shoulder, and whispered, "Courage costs, baby. But it buys something better." Aaron smiled, not yet knowing how steep the price would be. That night, thunder volleyed across Chicago. Aaron's mind replayed the confrontation as he typed Layla's physics homework answers so she could rest her overpracticed fingers. Their mother, Ms. Brooks, dozed on the living room sofa, IV stand gleaming beside thrift store lamps. Aaron wondered which domino would fall first, the landlord's patience, the bursar's office, or his own sanity? Dawn broke gray and cold. At 9:17 a.m., a procession of black SUVs eased to the curb outside the Copper Kettle. Newsboy-hatted regulars watched through fogged windows as a tall man stepped out. Reginald Whitmore, shipping magnate, philanthropist, rumored kingmaker, wore an overcoat so precisely cut it seemed scissored from midnight itself. His silver hair was ruler-straight. He entered the diner like a verdict. Ida met him with folded arms. He offered a polite nod, then fixed pale eyes on Aaron. "Mr. Brooks, I presume. Might we speak?" Ida moved to object. Aaron touched her elbow. "It's all right." He led Whitmore to the tiny storeroom stacked with flour bags and memories. Alone, Reginald spoke in a baritone that seemed to vibrate the shelves. "I'm here because my daughter claims you assaulted her. I watched the security footage your owner provided." He tapped his phone. "It tells a different story." Aaron held his gaze. "Then I assume we're done." "Not quite." Whitmore folded his gloves, revealing immaculate fingernails. "Charlotte behaved abominably. I'm ashamed. Yet shame without action is vanity. You study civil engineering, yes? Top of your cohort. I fund Whitmore Urban Renewal Initiative, a waterfront redevelopment that will redefine this city. I want you on the design team." Aaron blinked. The offer floated, gilded yet barbed. Why? Talent is talent. Also, Whitmore's mask flickered. Charlotte needs to confront the consequences of privilege. Seeing the man she tried to humiliate rise on merit might pierce her shell. "So I become your object lesson. You become paid. Your sister schooled. Your mother treated at Northwestern Memorial. My insurance covers it." Aaron's stomach clenched. The hook gleamed sharper than the bait. "And my conditions?" Reginald nodded once. "Name them." Aaron inhaled. "My salary equal to any senior associate. Direct reporting to the chief engineer, not Charlotte. Any harassment ends the contract, but the medical coverage continues. And you publicly fund a scholarship for Southside STEM students. Call it what you want, just fund it." Whitmore's brows rose, then a slow smile formed. Respect minus warmth. He extended his hand. "Done." The whirlwind began. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. 6 weeks later, Aaron stood in the 37th floor atrium of Whitmore Tower, wearing a charcoal suit Ida had insisted on buying him with pooled diner tips. Glass walls framed the river's steely curve. Engineers clustered around 3D models of cantilevered promenades. Aaron caught his reflection, a man balancing two worlds. Charlotte arrived in a blizzard of hushed stiletto clicks. Her eyes widened seeing him in the executive bullpen. For a fraction of a second, vulnerability flickered, then shutters snapped. "Father's charity case," she murmured, loud enough. The days that followed became a chess match. Charlotte reassigned his CAD stations, lost key blueprints, scheduled progress reviews at midnight. Aaron countered by documenting every roadblock, liaising with colleagues who were tired of bending to Charlotte's caprice. Gradually, water cooler gossip shifted, admiration for the newcomer swelled. One bitter January morning, Aaron unveiled a seismic retrofit plan that would save $15 million and safeguard the tower against once-in-a-century quakes. The boardroom buzzed. Reginald's steely features softened into paternal pride, directed not at Charlotte, but at Aaron. She noticed. That evening, Charlotte cornered Aaron in the empty Sky Lounge. City lights glittered below like a million rehearsed apologies. "You think you're winning," she said, voice low. "You're an interloper. They'll drop you when the headline fades." Aaron met her icy stare. "Maybe, but what you fear isn't me. It's accountability." Charlotte's laugh cracked, jagged. "Accountability? My mother died, birthing me while my father sealed a Baltic pipeline deal. The nannies raised me, Tower Suites schooled me. The only accountability I know is quarterly earnings." For the first time, her veneer slipped, revealing a hollow ache. But the shard of empathy Aaron felt vanished when she added, "Still, I will bury you before I lose." The burying began in earnest. Anonymous complaints about Aaron's aggressive demeanor, whispers that his calculations were inflated. An internal audit was triggered. Whitmore Tower's lobby monitors flashed, pending investigation, and Aaron's ID badge turned yellow, restricted. That same night, Ms. Brooks suffered a pulmonary crisis. Aaron spent 36 sleepless hours between hospital beeps and university emails threatening to drop him for absenteeism. He returned to work, gaunt yet resolute. During the audit hearing, Charlotte sat poised while corporate counsel grilled Aaron about missing data packets. Packets Charlotte herself had rerouted. Unknown to her, a junior IT analyst, Mateo, had found the breadcrumb trail after witnessing Aaron teach Layla trigonometry over Zoom during lunch break. The kid from Pilsen reminded Mateo of himself. He handed Aaron the logs minutes before the hearing. Evidence displayed. Charlotte's scheme unraveled like a cheap hem. Gasps echoed. Reginald's face hardened, not cold this time, but wounded. Charlotte and Whitmore. Suspension effective immediately. Security will escort you. Charlotte's eyes brimmed, not with tears but disbelief. As she rose, she whispered to Aaron, "You think you've saved them, but you've ruined us both." Her heels clicked a funeral march out the door. Weeks passed. The project thrived. Yet late at night, Aaron replayed Charlotte's final words. He recognized the truth hidden there. Victory built on someone's ruin was brittle. He began visiting Ms. Brooks's ward with blueprints for Layla's music therapy center, an annex he planned to propose as Phase 2 of the riverfront redevelopment. Inspiration eased his guilt. On the first thaw of March, regatta flags fluttered along the half-finished waterfront. Reginald invited Aaron aboard the Whitmore Crescent, a glass-sided yacht moored where warehouses once rusted. Lake Michigan glimmered slate and silver. Over bourbon, Reginald spoke. "Charlotte's in Geneva, counseling and cultural immersion program. She's resisting, but learning. I owe that to you." He paused. "But progress cost my family's unity. Do you regret it?" Aaron stared at the horizon where city met water. "I regret a world that makes dignity feel like warfare. But no, I don't regret refusing to be bought cheap." Reginald nodded slowly. A monarch surrendering a kingdom he never understood until it was gone. 3 days later, Charlotte returned without fanfare. Hair no longer platinum, but her natural chestnut. Trench coat traded for a simple peacoat. She showed up at the copper kettle just after close. Rain hissed on the windows the way it had that first night. Aaron cleaned tables. Ida hummed old boleros in the kitchen. Charlotte stood drying umbrella spokes, watching Aaron stack coffee mugs. "This place smells like wet pennies and cinnamon," she said softly. "I've smelled nothing real in months." Aaron faced her, towel in hand. She took a breath. "I came to apologize, to Ida, to that couple, to you. Geneva forced me to listen. You once said I feared accountability. You were right." She looked around at the worn booths. "May I sit?" They sat across from each other like wary diplomats. Charlotte's apology unfolded haltingly but sincerely. No excuses, no bargaining. She ended with, "I can't undo what I did. But I can start by funding the STEM scholarship anonymously, Aaron Brooks Scholars. That wasn't Father's idea, it's mine. And if you approve, I'd like Layla to help choose recipients." Aaron searched her face for performance, found only exhaustion and earnestness. He extended a hand. "Deal." A tentative smile, the first genuine one he'd seen, bloomed. She rose to leave, then paused. "Do you play chess?" He raised an eyebrow. "I'm terrible," she admitted. "But I need an opponent who doesn't let me cheat." He chuckled. "Saturday afternoons, park by the planetarium. Bring your own queen." She laughed softly. Umbrella unfurled. She stepped into the night. Summer unfurled over Chicago like a brass band. The riverfront promenade opened with fireworks reflecting off water cleansed by newly installed filtration locks. Aaron's design, named the Brooks Flow System at City Council insistence. The STEM Scholarship's inaugural class attended the ribbon cutting, Layla among them, her recital hands healed and eager. In the VIP section, Reginald stood beside Charlotte, pride tempered by humility. Charlotte spotted Aaron working a troubleshooting radio with city engineers, rolled her eyes good-naturedly, and fetched him a bottle of water. Cameras flashed at the unlikely partnership, though the two hardly noticed. Ms. Brooks, recovered enough to chuckle at the mayor's jokes, sat in a shaded pavilion. Ida wheeled her along the boardwalk, pointing out plaques each etched with donors' names, most unfamiliar, until they reached one inscribed simply, "To everyone who refuses to kneel before anything but their own worth." The city's brass band struck a jubilant chord, and confetti soared into the breeze coming off the lake. Aaron's journey from diner waiter to city-shaping engineer, matched against Charlotte's fall and rise, had begun with 3 bills flung on a tile floor. It ended here, not with one side triumphant, but with both transformed, bound by a shared lesson, that dignity is priceless, and humanity, once embraced, can redraw skylines and souls alike.